Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Phil Jackson. The Last Dance.
What are we doing? Hey everyone, welcome back to As Art with Nick and John. So we post 3 videos a week, so go and check out asart.space for all the audio and video links. Of course, we're on YouTube. Who found out about that documentary first? Did you already hear about it, or did I bring it to your attention? I can't remember.
I've been hearing about how they moved it up early because of the whole quarantine thing and how I guess it took forever for them to even get the rights for Michael Jordan. But oh my gosh, I'm so happy they released it. Gosh.
Yeah, you know, even if you're so obviously on As Art, we're used to doing more creative things like, all right, Lord of the Rings visual effects or deep fakes, things like that. But especially for me, the editing in this series is very creative and very artistic. But honestly, even if you're not a basketball fan, this is something that might really appeal to you as far as a documentary. Obviously, if you're really, really young or you hate sports, and maybe it's not for you, but overall, the story is really compelling. The background story of how this is only coming and happening in 2020, we're seeing this documentary is really fascinating.
So crazy.
So we're going to cover some of the more artistic aspects of it, just also talk about it in general, nerd out a little bit. So you were really into basketball during this period of time, or no?
My favorite player of all time was Kobe. Jordan was a little bit before my time. Oh my gosh, like I love Jordan though. I like the way he does his fall away, and even today in modern NBA, you don't see too many fall away shooters. Because it's a very dangerous shot, like being able to fall away and shoot and like the percentages of making it and stuff like that. And I mean, Kobe was really good at it. Jordan and the tall white dude, Derek Levinsky or something.
White dude.
No, he's on the Maverick. He was on the Mavericks. Jordan, man, he's so freaking talented. And like, so all of his points, like every year he won the championship, he led the league in scoring. And he was even shooting threes. Like nowadays, so many players shoot 3-pointers, and like Jordan was all like mid-range jump shots. Like, is that crazy? Like his points, and it's just like, dude, this guy was a beast.
Well, it's funny because, and we'll get into the editing and things in a little bit, but as far as just a good documentary gives you knowledge. Obviously, if it's a subject you've never heard about before, like I don't study the Titanic, but they're going down in the where it's on the bottom of the ocean, and they're talking about like, okay, I'm going to get all new information. But if you were a basketball fan in that period of time, Michael Jordan was really one of the first athletes that became just like a way beyond the sport. And obviously, you got some others before that and after that.
Phenomena.
Yeah, but getting to see the pressures, behind the scenes and being able to see the team. I love this. Michael Jordan's a buzzword like Babe Ruth was for baseball, right? Or you can Muhammad Ali and things
Tiger
like that.
Woods for golf.
Yes, exactly. So they're going to have to model or go back to Michael Jordan often in the series, or it's in their best interest from a business standpoint to go back to him. But it's really fun. You're getting teammates, head coach Phil Jackson. You're getting their perspectives, and this is not spoiler talk, but as you go through the series, they're jumping around in time, and as you're going through the series, you're getting close. The gaps are getting closer and closer to 90. Was it 97, 98, or when was it? 98. You're getting closest to their last season, the last dance, that last season that Phil Jackson was the head coach. You're getting closer to that. And the cool part is there was only one time in one of the latter episodes that we've gotten so far that I kind of lost track of where we were. And it's just because their ages were so close that for just 1 second. But the editing is so solid, and the motion graphics supplement going back and forth in the timeline are so good that you're getting these basically 2 different timelines concurrently, and you're not getting lost at all, which is really great storytelling.
I mean, what's nice is they actually show the timeline before like each section. So it's like, hey, we're going back in time now.
Yeah, motion graphics going back, But
you learn how dedicated Michael was. And it's just like, if you really want to be the best at anything you do, you got to put your heart and soul into it, kind of thing. And
so do you want to give some of the backstory why we're not getting this story until 2020? I mean, if you guys have watched the series, actually, they didn't even mention it on the series, I don't think, but if you read any articles about the show, you'll get the backstory. But go and give them just a little bit of a backstory on why we're not getting this stuff.
Was not 100% sure if his image would come off right with this docuseries, because, he's so focused on the game. I mean, think about it. In order to win 3 championships back to back twice, like, you have to be. I mean, there's the players and talents in the NBA is already here, and then it's like to be able to perform like that, and then it's just so crazy stuff that I'm learning from this docuseries. Like, he would sign autographs and do stuff before the game. And then he
And
would do
the
stuff
game,
after.
too, yeah,
Just
yeah.
like he was always just on and such a nice guy and meeting people. It's just like that's so draining. Can you imagine just like always having to be on and stuff? But anyways, he was not sure how he would come off with
Mhm.
his image and stuff like that. So at first he's like he was very iffy about it. And then something happened with LeBron James or something like that when he won the championship, and something happened where he finally gave his rights. But anyway, it was just, I'm so grateful that we can see this, because I think it's, I mean, I love learning about Scottie Pippen. I didn't know that much about Scottie Pippen, and it's just it was
Poor guy.
I did
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
everyone knows Michael, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
everyone wants to be like Mike.
Traditionally in the past, I had been a baseball fan, and I mean, this is a good number of years ago that I watched baseball a lot, but my favorite all-time athlete is Lou Gehrig, and he was playing on the same team as Babe Ruth, and he was kind of always, Lou Gehrig was always kind of the number 2 on the team on the New York Yankees, where Babe Ruth was this big, iconic, character. He always was the headlines, and even Lou Gehrig, if he had a great game, he was always going just personality and kind of the way the media kind of portrayed him. He was always a more like quiet guy, and I don't know if Scottie Pippen was a more quiet guy necessarily, but he always was kind of the number two on the team as far as image, but he was a very critical part of the team, and it's really cool to skip. So Nick was talking about how all the media, always cameras and microphones in his face. It's crazy because when you're seeing interviews on the news, you just see the microphones in front of his face, but when they're shooting the documentary and they're a number of paces back and you see this horde of people around him to where all he can do, like he couldn't even walk away if he needed to. He was like boxed in 180 degrees, against lockers and things like that. Like, oh my gosh, that looks so claustrophobic. And basically anywhere he went when he was at the height of his fame, which was basically all the years he was in the NBA, really, he went
Pretty
straight
much,
out the
man.
gate. It was just crazy. And then you'll get some great backstory on how the whole Nike deal came into
so
place.
good.
And
Dude.
we'll probably talk about some of this stuff. If you guys want to make sure you don't get any spoilers whatsoever, maybe don't watch the podcast. We'll probably sprinkle things in. We're trying not to give the whole series away, but we want to talk about some points because it's really, really fun stuff.
It's really interesting. Stephen Curry, he plays for the Golden State Warriors. He did something similar where I guess he was going to sign with Nike, and Nike, when they present it to the athlete, they do like a show reel and stuff like that. They put the wrong athlete in his thing, and he was just like, no way. And then he went to Under Armour, and Under Armour, he got a better deal and percentage and all this, but now Under Armour is exploding like crazy because he's exploding and stuff. So it's almost like the same thing that happened with Nike with him is happening to Curry with Under Armour. I just thought that was so interesting when I heard that. I'm like, oh, that's so cool, the whole thing. And I think I know a little bit too much about basketball that I should know. But it's so interesting. I love it.
Because once you know someone's story, you're able to relate. Okay, he laid the groundwork for this, and how do other people? Because I mean, he got paid good money in the NBA, but nothing like he got off of the shoes and other endorsements. I mean, I remember reading an article way back when they're like, the only other person on the earth that you heard about as much during that period of time, this is not the entire period of time Michael Jordan was at his peak, but Michael Jackson, 2 Michaels, they were like the biggest names
MJs.
around for a while. Yeah, the MJs, yeah. And so it was crazy stuff, but I mean, I can't think of another athlete that's ever had as much limelight.
The editing's great because like the old footage, I just watched a docuseries from the Beatles, and it's just so much fun. Like Jordan was so popular, the Beatles were so popular, where they just have the catalog of footage. You know what I mean? Like even if they didn't even have these behind the scenes like stuff, they probably had so much footage of Michael Jordan because he had cameras following him everywhere. You know what I mean? Like even when they did the private practices for Space Jam or the Olympics, like there were always cameras filming this dude, and it's just like that's what makes it so entertaining and so great. It's just how much footage is archive of this dude.
The archive footage of him is just, and you know what? It made me the editing, and you see all these miscellaneous shots from different news sources and different publication sources. It made me think about, gosh, how long, if not forever, do you sit on footage before you get rid of it? And how valuable does that footage become later on down the road? So documentaries, I didn't know, but documentaries are actually really expensive to make. You think about documentaries just kind of guerrilla style, but in documentaries, especially music tends to be to get the licenses for music tends to be a very big expense. But in this case, you're getting all kinds of archival footage from all these different, and you can kind of tell like, okay, this is footage just from one media outlet. This is footage from another movie, and then you have Space Jam, and you have all these different things, and you have to, at the very least, get the rights to use it, even if it's free, and that's a whole process. Then if you have to pay for it, okay, you have to go through the licensing. So from an editing standpoint, this must have been crazy. Yes, you need the catalog. You had to splice it in. Okay, before we get the rights to this footage, we need to splice it into this work. Okay, now we have to look into purchase it. How much is this? How long does this thing take? Is this worth it? Crazy stuff.
You would have to have someone to almost watch the footage to know what footage to put in for the storytelling lines before they even interview someone. Because obviously you're not going to interview someone if you don't have footage to show from that. It's just, oh my gosh, the right question. I love how they pulled the iPad to Michael Jordan to watch the other people's interviews.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen the episodes, we're not going to get into spoilers really, but they'll have interviews from, and this is interesting, from an artistic standpoint, a documentary can paint one side of a story. Mm-hmm. So, and you have to wonder that with Michael Jordan, he had to give the green light for this documentary to be released. So you have to wonder, is everything painted in the most accurate light possible? Because there's a section where they're interviewing a player that
so originally he was on the Bulls for the first
he was
championship.
Traded,
but then when he came back after the baseball season, so anyway, I forgot his name, but it was so awesome.
So he was giving this perspective on him, and then they cut to Michael Jordan, and he's like, that wasn't the case at all. He's like, I had other things on my mind going on at this period of time, and it was cool that they showed both sides. But when you're thinking of a documentary from an artistic standpoint, a creative standpoint, the people that are editing it and directing it still have a huge amount of play as far as perception and how it's perceived. And I especially with reality TV, I've heard people that are actually filming it say, don't even worry about how you think you're going to come across, because it's not until they get to the editors, they're going to be able to portray you however they see fit. So even if it's real footage, they can put in these clips, these moments that are going to paint you in whatever light possible. Yeah. So you always have to wonder that when you're watching a documentary, but I like that they showed both angles in those particular cases. Really, and again, the timeline stuff just works perfectly, and they brought in all these people to get interview footage. It was great. It's been so much fun. It's probably one of the... I like documentaries, but I don't watch them very often, but I'm so glad I watched this one because it's been wonderful.
Dennis Rodman, I think they showed Dennis Rodman a couple times where Dennis Rodman went partying and stuff. So good.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious. Yeah, you see him on there, and you see Carmen Electra, and just the stories of the time period. It's hilarious. That the Dennis Rodman episode is actually one of my favorite ones. Actually, so you guys, if you're able to watch the series, awesome. The Dennis Rodman one's great. The Phil Jackson one's great. A lot of the Scottie Pippen one's great. And I don't even know what the last couple episodes are going to be, but
there's a couple I really like. This one's up there as one of my top ones. I really liked Exit Through the Gift Shop.
I've never heard of that.
It's the one with Banksy. He does a whole thing where if street art's really street art. It's so good. Exit Through the Gift Shop, and then a guilty pleasure, Tiger King.
Oh, you gave in, huh?
So good. It's just good because you can't look away.
It's funny you mentioned Tiger King, because that was, at least during this is during the quarantine that we're filming this. That was the #1 film on Netflix, or series on Netflix, and then they released The Last Dance, and then that has taken over as the most popular series on Netflix right now. So obviously, good quality documentary storytelling.
And then the Beatles one was really good too. Okay. That Beatles one I just watched. Yeah.
But then pushing the release up for this particular one to fit during this quarantine time is probably genius, because people are hurting for sports content, and they release this, and again, timing and release dates and things like that play a huge factor. So really, really cool stuff. We have how many? I think we have 4 episodes left. I can't remember.
We're halfway through, I think. I don't even know how many there are in total. I'm just following the championships. I'm like, okay, when are we just gonna catch up to the timeline?
Yeah, but it's really, really cool stuff, you guys. Check it out, and just try and think, when you're seeing all these miscellaneous shots of different stories, try and think about how difficult it was to edit this together. And as they're jumping around in time, think about, is this coherent all the way through? And it almost, like I said, I've only gotten kind of confused for just a split second once as they were getting closer together between the championship and where they were flashing back to. But it's just masterful storytelling that must have been super difficult to piece together, especially so many years after the fact. So really, really cool stuff. We're going to do a part 2 after the season is wrapped up, but definitely check this out on Netflix. ESPN in the U.S. I think outside of the U.S. it's on Netflix. I wish we had on Netflix here. That would have been a lot easier. But hopefully you've been enjoying the content. We're doing a lot of different things in Azar. Hopefully, if you guys check out AsArt, you're seeing, this is different stuff. This is not just visual effects. It's not just movies. Anything that's artistic we want to check out. So if you guys have suggestions on stuff we could cover, please let us know. We've gotten some really cool suggestions for content that we maybe wouldn't have thought of otherwise. But if you're new to AsArt, welcome. We're glad to have you. Check out the rest of the channel. We have some deep fakes for different character recastings with Brian Seeker that we're doing. We have movie reviews, show reviews we go through.
And VFX breakdowns. We're doing Space Jam. Space Jam. Here's your chance. Do your dance at the Space Jam.
And I had never seen it. I saw it just because of The Last Dance. Nick wanted to cover it, so we'll be talking about that pretty soon as well. So check out asart.space for all the audio and video links. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you on the next AsArt.